Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call to order the Old Bridge Township Council meeting for October 25th, 2022. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, and for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, the mayor would like to recognize someone. Mayor Henry?
Thank you, Council President. Tonight, unfortunately, again, I stand before you, and we recognize and acknowledge the passing of two individuals who played vital roles here in Old Bridge. The first one is Mr. Pete Puro. Pete, a long time, 35-year township employee. As you know, Pete ran our Camp Robin program. Pete was no stranger to these council chambers, nor the public, as time after time, Pete brought before us and this council individuals who made achievements and attained goals that many say were very unrealistic or they couldn't be met. Pete and his dedicated staff proved that through hard work and conviction that the Camp Robin programs were a vital part of this community and his life. For his students and their families, it was a vital part of their lives. It was only fitting that the line wrapped around the building for the hundreds of people who came to pay their respect. I will sum it up by just saying Pete gave so much to those who needed it the most. So I ask that you please keep Pete, his wife, his family, and his spirit, most of all his spirit, in your thoughts and prayers. And I would like to ask Matt to come up and say a few words. Matt played a crucial role and oversaw what Pete has accomplished, and I think he can put a little bit better.
So obviously it was a very tough time for our entire department and the community that Pete served. Since the inception of Camp Robin program over 35 years ago, there has been one name that has been hand in hand with Camp Robin, and that is Pete Puro. Pete was not only a resident of Old Bridge, he was a friend, he was a leader, he was an advocate for all. For those who don't know Pete, he was a special education teacher in New York City and worked for the Old Bridge Township for 35 years as the program director of Camp Robin. Robin stands for Recreation in Old Bridge for Those in Need. He dedicated his life to making a difference in the lives of those who really needed it. He created programs for our special needs population and gave these participants a support system that has grown into a community which is more than friends, it's family. Over the years, Pete grew a small program with a few dozen participants into the thriving success that we see today in 2022. The program has a variety of recreational, education, exercise, and socialization programs for our special needs families. Right now, we are servicing those families ages 5 and up and serving approximately 150 participants each session. Pete has had a huge impact not only on his family, but the community around him. When we asked some of the Camp Robin families what Pete meant to them, one response we got was from Miss Claudio Puccio, a longtime Camp Robin mom, said, "When we think of Pete, we think of the ever-present smiling face. When I would pick up our daughter from summer camp year after year as she got older, I remember him telling me it's okay to move her to the adult program, that she would be okay." And she was. He would ride the bus with the skating team to compete and always made sure the kids and chaperones were okay. When we went to cold speed skating practices, there was Pete to greet us with a smile, always asking us how we're doing. He was the face of Camp Robin, the heartbeat of every single program, cheering our kids on. He loved them all like they were his own. They would lovingly call him Principal Pete, which he adored. My family was truly blessed to know him. Our children are thriving in the community they all call Camp Robin because of Pete Puro. When another family volunteered the memories that they had to share about Pete, Dana Rafferty immediately said, special Saturdays, like theater and Top Golf. Then she paused and just said, I loved all of it. The summer camp, the Friday nights, ta-da, chorus, basketball, and so many opportunities. To paraphrase John F. Kennedy, when someone had an idea, Pete never said no. He said, why not? Let's try it. He worked effectively with parents and other guardians, the school district, fundraisers, and the great staff that he recruited, many of them who have graduated into the profession and maintain their commitment to Camp Robin solely because of Pete Pirro. Pete has always had a compassionate attitude, always listened, and never gave the impression that he was too busy. Pete will be missed by every person that he has positively affected in his life, and we will continue to pray for Pete and his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I ask to remain standing today as we also pay tribute to Mr. Bob Volkert. Bob was involved many years in this town. He started out as one of the first special law enforcement officers here with the OBPD. Bob went on to serve many boards and committees here in town. And then he was elected to council in 2004 and served to 2013 as a representative of Ward 1. I had the privilege of serving with Mr. Volkert when he was on the council, and I will say that Mr. Volkert, as a councilman, conducted himself in a very professional manner, and he fought hard for the people in Ward 1. Tonight it's fitting that we acknowledge his service and dedication to the people of Old Bridge, so I ask that we please keep his wife and the entire Volkert family in your thoughts and your prayers. For a moment of silence for Pete and Mr. Volkert. Council President, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And now we'd like to have our prayer, Mr. Piscitti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear your voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right. And grant that we have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Present.
Councilperson De Palma?
Here.
Let the record reflect that Councilperson Desai is absent. Councilperson Garcia?
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Here.
Councilperson Murphy? Councilperson Pasquitti?
Present.
Councilperson Walker?
Here.
Council President Sohar. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspapers, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, November 14th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting. The first thing we'll be doing this evening is presentations. And if the mayor would like to come forward, this is our 2021 audit review and resolution approving governing bodies certification of the annual audit. Good evening.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here tonight. My name is Bob Allison, a partner in the firm of Holman Franny Allison. Here to, I guess, give some good news. We completed our audit, and we have once again a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion. That means the financial statements are materially correct as presented. We also have a report on internal controls and compliance. Although that's not an audit, it is something which, if we came into any situation where we saw a violation of controls or compliance, we would report that, and we did not find any problems with that. As far as the financial results of operation, it was a very good year. If you remember, last year was not a strong year because of COVID, and our surplus had dropped about 10% from 2019 to 2020. 2021, we saw a resurrection of sorts. We had some positive returns within the uniform commercial code. So I guess building came back stronger in 21. And we also had some savings from our 20 budget. So our surplus went from about $9 million to $12 million. And we are now at about 20% of our budget, which is a good place to be. The bond rating agencies like to see towns be around the 15 to 20% amount at least, and you're at that 20%, and that's strong. And I think that's one of the, I would say, unwritten goals of the administration is to have a fund balance of that size. As far as the other operating funds, we also saw that the arena did not lose as much money as it usually does, which is good. We only had to fund that to the tune of $20,000 to make it break even. And parking suffered from COVID just like any other operation, and that had dropped from 2019. That had dropped about a third of their surplus had dropped, and now we were able to increase that another 25% or so. So we're starting to climb parking back to being in a respectable position. We have no comments or recommendations. We'd like to thank the Finance Office, the administration, for all their help and cooperation, and I'll entertain any questions.
Council President, if I may, just add a few things. I absolutely do want to thank the staff of Finance Department under leadership of Dawn, carrying on since I've been working as a business administrator, and they're doing the fine job. So I do want to thank the staff of Finance Department, all department heads' cooperation, and certainly the members of the council who has listened to us, supported us in presentations of our financial goals. So without your support, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we've been achieving. Just want to, I agree with our auditors. The fund balance, maintaining strong fund balance, is a representation, and I think that sometimes get misunderstood. But what I want to emphasize is that the strong fund balance represents strong financial position of the township, and it's valued not just on our books and making sure we're meeting our payroll, we're paying all our bills, and still maintaining the good position, but that all of these things, the rating agency reviews, as the auditor indicated, very closely. And I don't know if you were on a rating calls recently, but if you were on any rating calls, you would have known, how they appreciate what we're doing. But more importantly, when business is looking to relocate or start, they certainly look at the reports from the rating agency. They get the financial statements because they want to go in town where there is a strong, stable financial position. And so that's critical for all of us to recognize, and why we emphasize maintaining that strong fund balance and how we budget, and making sure that we do not have a structure imbalances that can cause ups and downs in taxes. That would drive people crazy. So I just wanted to reiterate that part. In terms of arena, I think we've used as one of the recreation program of the town, and henceforth we do not make that as a focal point of strong financial position, and we make sure that the intent is a user fee as much as it pays, but it's still like any other recreation program. And it's a popular program in Old Bridge Township. It's heavily used. The school participates in that. And sometimes when you go in the evening, you'll see packed arena. So I think it's a good program. There are many, many other benefits when you have a good social recreation program. And the parking, obviously, we all know where it's heading. And the only thing I want to alert you is that we're working on, and we are in front of you tonight, there are ordinance changes to bring back some of those glory day or full parking lot. There was a demand for more parking lot. All of a sudden, that's all gone. Pandemic has absolutely changed how people commute. And that's going to continue. But we're working towards, approach that we can still provide good, reasonable parking facility for those residents that needs to commute. I think if you look at the surrounding town versus Old Bridge, we're probably the lowest rate in a parking, even after the proposed changes. We're going to be the lowest in Middlesex, Monmouth County on a Route 9 corridor. So I think that, where it is, yes, we do have to be concerned a little bit. It's not a major financial impact to our financial position, but we want to make sure that commuter has a good facility, well-maintained facility, and that, they have safe commuting, being able to park and take the bus to New York. So I just wanted to add some of those information to the council and to the public.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone on the council who has a question or a comment for Mr. Allison or Dawn? No? Okay. Anyone on my right? Comment or, okay, Mr. Pasquetti?
Yeah. Just want to thank the administration for doing a good job with the finances. Thank you.
Anyone else? Dr. Greenberg?
I mean, I think the important thing is to focus on, obviously you're doing a good job, but it's recognized by a bond rating agency. So we're actually being evaluated all the time. And what we brought that bond rating up to a AA+ is it's amazing in the amount of time that we did. And a lot of people take that for granted. But just as you explained, with businesses coming into town, to do the services that we do and to have the fund balance that we do, in spite of COVID and not getting assistance that that other towns did, is quite remarkable. And I appreciate the efforts that everyone puts in, all the heads of departments, employees, and really, good stewardship. So thank you very much.
I just want to thank everyone for all the hard work you put in. Great job.
And in closing, naturally, I will reiterate that as well. I think it's a strong team, the whole town. And I do think that having your guidance as well, Mr. Allison, is invaluable. I think together we've really stayed the course despite all that's been thrown at us, so to speak. And I think we have our eye on the right way to maintain that balance. And it shows, it really does. So thank you again for all the time. And it is appreciated. Trust me, I think the residents will, realize in years to come just how important this was and how it came about. So thank you for everything. Very appreciated. Now I'd like to ask for a resolution. That would be to approve the certification of the annual audit.
I move it.
Second.
Okay, so Dr. Greenberg Belli made a motion, second by Mrs. Walker.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquetti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes. Okay, that's 8 yes.
8 yeses.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time. It's appreciated. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I guess it's segue into the same theme, best practice. I have a part of my admin report, so I'm going to read through that. You all have copies of our best practice
Yes.
inventory. The biggest good news is that we're not losing any aid, and we have never did lose any aid. So the best practice inventory instituted by the state of New Jersey require all municipalities to respond annually to the best practice questionnaire issued by Division of Local Government Services. The state aid final payment is subject to completion of the survey. The 2022 inventory required response to 56 questions that included 31 core competencies, 11 best practice, and 13 unscored survey questions. To receive full state aid, municipality must have minimum score of 24. The Township of Old Bridge will receive full aid with a score of 35. So I think we have done very well. Some of the questions you can see unrelated to us or not necessarily we agree it's a best practice. I wish our state would do the best practice. I think we had a better practice even before state started best practice. I'm emphatic to say that that we have always implemented a best practice, at least particularly in the area of financial position. And I know my reputation is because of that I'm very strong, demanding person. But I think that has helped over the years. So I think that, Council, if you have any questions, and I want to thank Dawn again because he's, instrumental in putting everything together. But there are questionnaires. If you look at on it says unscored survey, those are just a survey. And then you go in a core competency, which are counted, and then there are best practices encountered. And I think particularly in finance, we have pretty much every question, we have positive response, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw. Is anyone on my left have a comment or a question about the best practices? Okay, anyone on my right? Okay, well, once again, I think we've
Can't help but say, really, the state, that comment just hit the home base, and it is scary, the things that are coming from the state and the wasteful spending, and you're right, they don't practice best practices at all.
I'll say it, if they held themselves to the same standards they hold us to, we'd probably live in a much better state.
Yep.
So I'll say it.
Okay, thanks, because it's very scary. The amount of money that's wasted every year, wasted time and time again. And I just think of a business. If you ran your business like that, you wouldn't be open. You wouldn't be in business. And so what do? They just, with their malfeasance and nefarious activities, they just come to the taxpayer and make it more difficult and difficult. People are stressed to the limit, but it's really what return you get. And then when you think of COVID, things that were done in COVID without people having knowledge, it's an embarrassment, really.
Well, I'm very proud of Old Bridge, so thank you again for all your hard work. And once again, I think the residents do benefit by the way we run things. Yep. So, yep. We need a resolution for this. Right. Okay. Thank you once again. Next will be approval of minutes of previous meetings, resolution approving regular combined council meeting minutes of October 11th, 2022. Do I
Move
have a
it.
motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Belli.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Abstain.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes,
7 yeses, 1 abstention.
next will be our bill list, Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, October 25th, 2022, $10,756,457.21. Payroll, October 14th, 2022, $1,099,072.33. Payroll overtime, October 14th, 2022, $58,571.90.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. DePalma?
Biscotti.
Mr. Piscetti, okay. All right, and Mr. Shaw, can we have a breakdown, please?
Thank you, Council President. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime for this pay period was $58,571.90. There was an uptick in recreation for Old Bridge Day-related overtime. For Police Department, for the sworn officer, overtime was $40,402.98. Deduct grant, $4,299.17. Deduct the ETO payout, $23,936.50. Total overtime for this pay period was $12,167.31, representing 221 men and women hours. There was no pandemic cost this pay period. There were 2 officers injured on duty or light duty. That concludes my report, Council President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw. I have a roll call now, please.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Next will be public hearing and/or adoption amendment for those ordinances for second reading. The first one is H1, ordinance rescinding the Lambertston Track, Rose Track, and a certain adjoining lot redevelopment plan for 218 acres, Township of Old Bridge, New Jersey. Ordinance plan adopted on March 27th, 2006. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Yep, Mr. Paschetti, second.
Second.
Mr. De Palma. Okay, I'll now open it up to the public. Is there anyone here in the audience who wishes to be heard on this ordinance, H1? Okay, seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. Council, anyone on council have a question or a comment? Okay, then we'll call the roll, please.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, motion carries.
Next will be H2, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge extinguishing easement of right-of-way in regard to Block 7101, Lot 1, Regency Center Acquisition, LLC. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Murphy. Is there anyone, I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on H2? Good evening. Okay, just if you
Name and
can.
address, please.
Yeah. just-
1021 Marlborough Road. I
Okay,
just have a very simple question.
yeah, sure.
When you come up with a lot and a block number, I'm not really sure what address that is. Because there is some activity going around in my area,
Okay,
right? With Marlborough Road, Texas Road, and that area. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering where this particular
okay,
segment is. I did see some things online in ordinance, but it talked about I think they have it labeled as Jack Brown Road instead of Jake Brown.
Jake.
So
It's Jake,
you
right.
want to just maybe take a look.
okay, sure.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Nicole, would you be able to address the gentleman? Thank you.
This is actually for the piece of property that's on Route 9 southbound, south of Schulmeister on the southbound side, just as you're approaching Jake Brown Road. So if there is a correction in the ordinance, we will make it.
Okay, all right. And, okay, no, thank you very much. We appreciate your input. Thank you. Is there anyone on council who have a question or a comment? No? Okay, so can we take a roll call? We good, Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, motion carries.
Thank you. Next will be H3, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending Chapter 351, Personal Policies, 351-3 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Separation from Municipal Services. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Paschetti and second by Mr. Murphy. I'd like to open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on H3? Seeing no hands, we'll close public. Anyone on council on my left, a question or a comment? Anyone on the right? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, motion carries.
Okay. Next will be ordinances for first reading. FR 1, ordinance adopting BH Manzo Boulevard 1 redevelopment plan for the property known as Block 5001, Lot 13.24, within the Runyon redevelopment area. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, public hearing set for November 14th, 2022.
Next will be FR 2, ordinance amending the code of the Township of Old Bridge, specifically Chapter 331, parking permits, Article 1, commuter permit parking in certain areas, Section 331-5, 331-7, 331-9, 331-10, 331-11, 331-12, 331-14, 331-15, 331-16, 331-17, 331-18, and 331-20. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Dr. Greenberg. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Who was it?
Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Walker.
Yep.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, public hearing set for November 14th, 2022.
Next will be first reading FR 3, ordinance amending the code of the Township of Old Bridge, specifically Article 4, parking fees, Section 160-21 and Section 160-22. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Murphy.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, public hearing set for November 14th, 2022.
Next will be FR 4, ordinance amending the code of the Township of Old Bridge, specifically Chapter 325, parking facilities, Article 1, Old Bridge Park and Ride Facility, Section 325-1, 325-2, and 325-3. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
No.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
7 yeses, 1 no.
Next will be our consent.
Public hearing set for
sorry,
November 14th, 2022.
Okay, you heard that, right? November 14th. Thank you. Okay, next will be the consent agenda. I'd like a motion and a second, and then I'll ask for separation.
Move it.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Okay. Any items for separation, Councilperson DeCaro?
No.
Any items for separation, Councilman De Palma?
C2.
C2. Councilperson Garcia?
None, thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes, C4, C2. Separated.
Councilperson Murphy?
Nothing.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
No separations, thank you.
Councilperson Walker?
No, thank you.
Council President Sohar.
No, thank you. Okay, so we'll be voting on the balance
A roll call vote for the balance of the consent agenda with removal of C2 and C4. Yes. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Okay, so next will be C2, Mr. De Palma.
So based off of the incidents that we've had, right? So I want to make sure that we separate these things and we do talk about it, right? So this past week, we had yet another tragic incident on Route 9. I was contacted by a few people, one person in particular that has worked with folks in the past to talk about this. The state needs to step up and help this situation, right? If this was something that the municipality could take care of, we would have taken care of this long ago, right? Similar to the light that's on Route 34. We wait for the NJDOT. The longer the state, the DOT, and everyone above us in that deals with Route 9 waits, we're just one more day, one more incident, one more tragedy for a family, multiple families. Enough's enough. We have to act. Unfortunately, we cannot act by putting it out there. That's not our road, right? The state has to do something. I'm sick and tired of coming up here telling everyone, please be careful, please be careful. The state turns around, gives other municipalities, and I believe they gave East Brunswick $18 million, if I'm not mistaken, or some number north of that to do improvements on their roads. The last time I checked, all of Route 18 has cement barriers in between to ensure that no one crosses over and that no one else is impacted going to work, right? No one else is impacted trying to get home to their family, of course, of an accident on the other side. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. Regardless of whose fault it is, the state, the DOT needs to act on this. And I don't know how many incidents we've had since I've been a councilman, since everyone up here has been in this town, but that stretch of road is dangerous. And the fact that they are not acting on their own behest is an embarrassment. The state needs to get involved. We're doing everything we can to have conversations. I know Nicole in our engineering department, Himanshu and the mayor have been trying to work with the state, but at this point, we need folks to get on top of them, right? There's only so much the 9 of us can do up here with the mayor and the administration. You know, maybe it's time that we called on not only us as the elected body, maybe it's time for the rest of this town to get on it and, you know, let's start writing letters, start making phone calls to the DOT to fix the problem. That's all I have to say.
Council President,
Yes.
if I may just add to that, I know Mayor Henry has been, since 2012, he's been elected, he's been pursuing this concept. And I know, speaking to Nicole, since 2016, there was numerous communication to that effect. In fact, she wrote another letter in detail. I meant to forward that to you, and I just did that. I realized that this issue is, and so you'll see a copy of another letter that she has written, strong letter requesting these things. And so I just want to alert you that, yes, administration has been pursuing. We want this, taken care of now before we lose another life. So I just wanted to let you know that efforts of the town administration.
Council President, I'd like to, obviously, we've been relentless in our pursuit to try to get this taken care of over the last 10 years. Councilman De Palma touched on it. The only section of Route 9 that is not protected along its length is here in Old Bridge. Sayreville is fully protected to our south. Manalapan and Marlboro has full protection from crossover. We've had a number of crossover incidents. You mentioned Route 18. If you travel Route 18, the only section of State Highway Route 18 that is not protected continue to East Brunswick, I don't know. But it's the same highway. It's the same speed limit. Route 9 has proved itself to be a dangerous roadway. And as you say, why there is not crossover protection there, I have no idea. They give, the state DOT gave us for years, well, it wasn't warranted. It wasn't warranted. It wasn't warranted. Doesn't require it. Doesn't need it. So I don't know, you're better off talking to that chair than the DOT. They have their own mindset, and that's what they use. It took them 25 years to figure out we needed a light at Amboy Road. So I'm very optimistic and hopeful that we were pushing this prior to the last week's incident, that they were going to move forward, again, with only half of Route 9 being protected. They want to do it from Poor Farm to Throckmorton Lane and not consider Throckmorton Lane to our southern border where there has been crossover incidents. Again, how do you sit at a table and discuss something intelligently with someone who refuses to look at data? They're looking at data from 7 years ago. It's very frustrating. I'm sure there's other fellow elected officials that feel the same way. They have their way of going about things, and that's the way they do it. So I apologize, but I'm telling you, we have done everything we possibly can to get them to the table and listen. And when you do get them on the table, they have their own set of rules, and they make no sense to anyone that has to live in a town that doesn't have crossover protection on a highway, a major highway, one of the busiest in the state. And as you said, why didn't they come 10 years ago and say they were going to put a guardrail up? Why do we have to keep asking for it? Makes no sense. So again, I apologize, council, but I am upset at what has happened here over the last 10 years. I've been standing in the middle of Route 9 a number of times, looking at these horrific scenes. When a car crosses from south to north and they collide at a high rate of speed, it's vicious. No one should have to even see that or be involved in that, especially when it's an innocent person coming up in the other direction. There's no way a car should be able to come in front of you. So, thank you, council.
Thank you. Anyone
I ask
else?
for your support this resolution. I know it's only half of what we're looking for, but let's do it, and we'll get it done.
Council President, one more thing. I just got information from our Sergeant Herb Doctor that they've been pursuing for 10 years. In 2019, they provided all the statistic. DOT says, yes, we'll come meet with you. Never did.
So the DOT is not willing to meet with us? That's,
Cole,
if that's,
We can't hear you.
yeah, there's,
Something,
At a fast track now, we're looking at about 2-year installation.
2-year installation to fix
2 years.
what's going on.
That's what we're looking at now.
Cole, do you have anything to add before I finish with the council? Because this is a topic that of big concern for the whole community.
So when we started, the mayor and our business administrator had started way before I had gotten here. In 2016, there was a fatality, and it was due for a crossover. We had sent a letter to DOT to try and get their attention. In that letter, I had said to them, if you look at your design manual, when you're supposed to put concrete barrier on a 3-lane divided highway like it is out there today on Route 9, the criteria that you follow is for freeway. So I said, even though it's not a freeway and there's signalized intersections, it acts as a freeway. It meets the criteria of a freeway, and that's why a divider is warranted on the roadway. That letter went in 2016. We sent subsequent letters after that because there were other fatalities that had occurred. We got their attention because at that time, the mayor had called, Ron Dancer had called, and finally, Sophia Azam, the head of their safety bureau, had sent us a letter and said, okay, we're going to put this project in the pipeline. That was in 2017. In December 2019, they asked us to come meet. Myself, at the time, Captain Mandola had gone down. The mayor couldn't make it that day, but in his place was our business administrator, Himanshu Shaw, Fire Marshal Hart, and I think Officer Penley from our Traffic Safety Bureau was down there as well. And there was probably about 20 people in the room. We sat, we discussed. There was somebody else from Old Bridge, just a resident that had come to advocate as well. They had discussed that they had put in a project need statement. And if you know in DOT's world, for them to get a project into capital design pipeline, you have to put a project need statement, and that need statement has to be accepted by a DOT for it to get funded. They did that themselves. Usually a consultant does that. They did that themselves. And they take a look at the entire corridor in Old Bridge, and they identify this small little corridor, as the mayor said, from Throckmorton to Poor Farm Road. We explained to them then that it's the entire length, that we have to look at the entire length. So this is in 2019. This is December 2019. They submit the project need statement the month before, so in November. It gets accepted. Then the following year, we hear it gets accepted. They're going to move it into the capital pipeline. But then COVID hit, right? So now what's happening? In April of 2020, there was another crossover. There was another fatality. Send another letter. So it snowballs in that effect. So then they say, okay, well, it's in our pipeline. What's their pipeline? Concept development, preliminary design, final design, construction, bidding, and then construction phase. So right now, in the beginning of this year, February 2022, I had sent an email to our community relations coordinator, Meredith Hammond, who's very responsive. And I said, it's been years now. Where are we in the pipeline? She says, right now we're in preliminary design, but we should be in final design somewhere around May 2022. Well, May comes across, and actually April, and I said, okay, well, May is around the corner. How are we doing? I haven't seen a set of plans. Well, we're going to do our local officials meeting. So we do it virtually. It was me, the mayor, Mr. Shaw. I think our assistant township engineer was in the room too. And again, they're talking about this limited scope. The mayor brings up again, what about expanding it? Now at this point, we have another one crossover, another pedestrian fatality, and it's south of the location that they're talking about. And we say, listen, we have this data that's ongoing, because as you sit and do nothing, we sit and have more accidents. So they said, okay, we're going to go back and look at it, but their purpose of that local briefing meeting is to get a resolution and support from our council. So we said, go back and look. 2 months go by, I get an email from Community Relations. We elevated it to the supervisor, and they said, okay, they're not gonna expand it now, because what does that mean? If they expand it now, they have to go back to the drawing board, back to funding, back to the conceptual. So tonight's agenda, there was a resolution of support for this project. And if you looked at the resolution, there were details that we had put in, that it said, hey, we're gonna support this project, but just know we want this expanded, that we want a secondary project in addition to this project where you're expanding the scope and you're looking at remedying pedestrian fatalities, crossover fatalities, not only in this scope, but to our municipal border with Marlborough Township and then also with Sayreville. So that was on tonight's agenda. It was detailed in the way that we had described that resolution so that we kind of get our point across to them that, we're not going to, just sit and wait. This happened, that resolution happened way before this accident. But along with this accident, I went back to Community Relations and said, I'm sure you probably heard, it was all over Channel 12 News, there's another fatality, and that was a crossover. So, they had expressed their condolences to us, but we said we're looking for more.
Well, thank you for the update.
Can I say, yeah, I just want to, isn't there some way that they could ever go outside and have an emergency situation where they don't have to go through all this? I mean, how many more lives have to be taken before this is ridiculous. It's disgraceful.
Right after, I think, one of the accidents in 2020, their sort of rapid design unit had said, okay, we're going to see if we can implement some quick fixes. One of the quick fixes was what's akin to like little, very, very microscopic sort of rumble strips in the left lane, so that if you are to sort of weave in that left lane, you will hear that. Obviously, that's not, the accident that just happened, that was at a high rate of speed. They didn't feel that. They didn't, there was, overwhelming circumstances on that accident. But their quick fixes, it's time consuming. One of the other emails that I had sent to them recently when I had told them that the resolution of support was going to be on tonight's meeting is you had sent us a PPA. the plans are titled PPA. In DOT's world, preliminary preferred alternative, preliminary, right? To me, you're still in preliminary engineering when you told me June we were going to be in final design. So why is it that your plans say preliminary? There's, you know, a typical section. I mean, the plan, the level of details on these plans are not ready to be going out to bid. So I'm saying to them, what's happening in your design process? Give me updated plans. And she says back to me, Community Relations for DOT, these are the updated plans. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening over the course of now, when they get it in the pipeline in 2017 till now. Even if you take 2019, November 2019, when they have that project needs statement accepted, right? When in 2019 till now, what have they done in 3 years? I have 6 sheets of plans, you know? So again, it's the median barrier would be a dual phase guide rail. It would be in the grass area. You do have to take care of drainage, you know, when you're doing that. Along the way, I should say in 2020, when they do that project needs statements, it's federally funded. For them to get federal funds, they can't just look at the corridor and say, okay, we're gonna put up a guide rail or a barrier curb. They have to come back and say, we look at every intersection that has been identified in this corridor as in need of upgrade of safety. They look at safety not only for vehicular traffic, but all modes of traffic. So they look at pedestrian, they look at the push buttons, they look at the crosswalks, they look at the signal timing, they look at what's the delay of that intersection. So it's not only that they look at that. So we did have a pedestrian audit with them. That audit was sometime between April and maybe was finalized sometime in September of that year, right? And so Fred Kish in my office, our assistant township engineer, he took the lead on that. We met with them virtually, we met with them on site, we looked at each of the intersections that they said had problems in that small corridor, Throckmorton to Poor Farm Road. So in that small corridor, even in that time frame, pedestrian fatality happened at Perrine. They can't extend it. You know, again, they would have to go back to the drawing board. And I talk about this with the mayor. It's their process that's flawed. It's so time consuming, you know, to get a project, you know, on the streets and constructed. But that's my summary.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming up and giving that explanation, because as I say, I think people's patience is at an end as well, naturally, as the council and the mayor and everyone involved. And it's just very frustrating that there seems to be no accountability, that no matter how much, you know, we try to do, it falls on deaf ears, and this process, like Debbie said, is crazy. Yeah. Totally crazy. But thank you for the information. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, this is very sad, and it's very tragic. A loss of life, and all they think they can send condolences. When someone loses a family member, that's forever, you know? And it's just tragic, as you said. If you just eloquently explained everything that you've done and tried to get this done, and then there's a timeline. But the most baffling thing that raises many questions, why? They know how to do it. They did it in Marlboro. They did it north of us in Sayreville, as the mayor said. Why not Old Bridge? Why? And so that is the most disturbing thing to me. Why did we get left out all the time? I mean, the taxpayers in Old Bridge are paying state taxes. I mean, there's no reason for this. The data says this should have been done. And so when you take this much longer, when you question how many more lives are at risk, I know even when you cross the road, even with the light, it is so dangerous, you know, just stay in the middle. So if you stay in the middle, out of control car, you're still going to get hit if there's not a median there to, you know, protect you. So there is culpability there. The other question that at construction sites, they put up these temporary barriers all the time. Why haven't they put up, until this project's done, they can chip in temporary barriers all along there till it gets done. So there's a lot of different things they could have done all this time. And it's quite disturbing to me when you see their expectations of municipalities when they fall short themselves all the time. It's mind-boggling to me. And then the finances, if it's finances, you think of how, I can give you lists on how they waste money. I mean, let's face it, the governor's suing, 10 years from Sandy, suing oil companies that Sandy was their fault. Okay, that's going to be a successful court case. I mean, it's just absurd. But we're talking about lives here. When we hear these things, and the police that have to go there and see these tragic incidents, the families that have to be called, it's an endless sorrow. And to me, I just, like you say, there are things that Councilwoman Walker said, why isn't this a priority? It's almost like you have to beg them, but it's not something they don't know how to do. They did it in south of us, and they did it in north of us. Why are we being left out? Let's face it, in COVID, we were left out for a vaccination center here too. So it raises many questions to me why Old Bridge is targeted and we are left out. And so I just hope they get on the bandwagon soon before more lives are lost, because it's very, very dangerous and it's very sad. And those lives lost, we don't know, but maybe some of it was unnecessary, you know, especially when you have crossovers like that.
I just want to say, maybe if the public were to reach out to our state representatives, because I think they've been silent on this, maybe they can pressure them, and I don't know if maybe they could get it moved up out of the pipeline, because I don't think it should even be in a pipeline.
Well, I think it's good to tell the state
Yes,
representative,
I
but I
think
think
the
every
state
resident should be calling the state.
Exactly.
Call the state DOT.
Even if you
Write
don't
to
live
the
in
state
Old Bridge,
DOT.
because people pass through Old Bridge. Most of those people probably are passing through Old Bridge. So I think maybe people from around the state should get together and contact all the state representatives and put pressure on in the governor's office, because how many more lives have to be lost before they're going to pay attention? I just think it's very disgraceful.
Tragic, totally tragic. Anyone else, Mr. Caro? And then Mr. Murphy?
I strongly agree with what everybody's saying. Mayor, I don't think you have to apologize. You have no control over that. That's the way the state is. I mean, I remember if anybody was here, they wanted to put that sand pile for the snow on a real bad intersection where they had to pull off a 9 and go in there. Now, how the mayor got them to change the spot, I don't know. But that was an excellent thing he did, because that's an accident waiting to happen also. And I just, like I said, I definitely agree with what Eric brought up and what everybody has said. But they do the same thing on Route 18. I actually called them myself. There was a big pothole. They said, we don't do potholes. So what do you mean, no pothole? You have to call another part of the state. So then they were putting up trees, and I called them, so I had to call the tree division. But that's how they are. They just don't care. They have their own thing, and they told me that. We don't get involved in that. So I don't know what to say, and it's going to cause more and more accidents if something's not done. Thank you.
Mrs. DeCaro?
Thank you. I just want to thank you, Nicole, for that explanation, the history of it, and everything that you guys have been trying to do, and the mayor and Mr. Shaw, and I understand that this has been going on for a very long time. And my question is, other than the resolution that we are, hopefully all about to approve tonight, is there anything more that as individual council members, reaching out to our state representatives, trying to raise awareness of this issue with the public, as was just talked about, to try to get the public more aware of the problem? Is there anything else that we can do, even collectively as a council, to, create more awareness and kind of, get it to be a little bit higher on the priority and maybe speed up the process? Is there anything else that we can do, I guess is the question.
Well, I would say the state not only ignores the mayor of the town, the residents, the council, they also ignore their state representatives. We reached out to them. I know I personally did. And I know they did send letters and respond. I had copies of them. So I don't know where it breaks down, but I know they have done their due diligence. We can do this rodeo again, but it's obvious the data's there. We shouldn't have to do anything. The state actually should be coming and saying, this is a state road. This is the documentation that we've had this many accidents. We have to move on it. Why are we doing this? This is totally absurd. I'll do whatever it takes. You know, that is in my ability to get this done. And I urge everyone to call the state, hammer them every day so they're sick of it. But we have done this. You heard Nicole. You heard everything the mayor's done. You heard the business administrator. You heard our resolutions. We've called state representatives. I know state representatives, not only the 3 that represent this district, other ones that I know in the state legislature and the assembly. It's fallen on deaf ears. Not for 1 year, not for 2 years, not for 3 years. You can count. It's been going on for a very long time, over 10 years. And it's also disgusting. We're asking them to look at their data. That's mind-boggling to me. It's their road. They know what's happening. They get the same information we get. They get the same reports we get. There's no excuse for it. There is no excuse for it. Once again, this is a priority, and as Councilwoman Walker said, they have to have a level of priority to do their work. And if everything took this long, nothing would get done. I'm sure there are other things that they sidestepped to get things done. And there are temporary things that you can do because at all these construction sites, they have these barriers. So they can put up something temporary till they do their bidding and everything else that they do, which to me, it's kind of fleckless if they're taking this long.
You know what?
So, Councilwoman, I can tell you because the laws the way they are, the county road, the state road, we don't have jurisdictions. And if we do something and something happens, we're even bigger liability is on our shoulder. That's why we are hesitant to take any actions, like we put the barrier, but we can't.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely.
And so that's the limitation we have is this awareness, communication is our ability where we end, what we can't do. And so if the residents, if you get 70,000 people in town call state, they get flooded with 70,000 call, I guarantee somebody's going to get an attention. But unfortunately, those things are not possible. But physically, we cannot access the highway, the state road, and we can't take the jurisdiction over those roads.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Let me just clarify. No, I wasn't implying in any way that we would do it ourselves. I was just saying, is there any way, and to be clear, I want to clarify, I know that everyone here has been doing everything they possibly could. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out a way to try to prevent this moving forward. If we can all collectively come up with a reason, I mean, we have to do something. And I understand the frustration. I absolutely do. It's extremely frustrating and it's heartbreaking, when you have fatalities in this area. It's absolutely, it's unacceptable. And, being upset about it is absolutely, validated and 100%. But I guess my question is, okay, let's be mad. Let's have all of that and then say, okay, what else can we do? And I assume from hearing back and forth with there's really nothing else that we can
I would recommend that you contact any representatives to the south of us, because this really impacts the large majority of people that travel Route 9 are not from Old Bridge. We're just left cleaning up the mess most of the time. Unfortunately, this last event, there was a resident. But I believe the other actions we've had, they're people from other towns. And those elected officials should be looking out for their residents. So this shouldn't be an Old Bridge effort. It shouldn't be an Old Bridge effort. It should be every town to the south and every town to the north that have residents traveling up and down Route 9 through Old Bridge, that their residents now are put at risk. So they need to take steps also. They should be passing resolutions supporting the township of Old Bridge. That's what I think needs to happen. So when you get more representatives involved and a bigger part of the state, and again, you shouldn't have to tell the state, their busiest traveled highway commuter route in the state of New Jersey needs a guardrail in Old Bridge. But every representative who represents people along that corridor should be supporting us in our effort to get it, because we would support them if they needed it.
Okay.
And also, I just want to add, as far as our commitment and our doing whatever direction we need to take and how much money we need to allot for certain things like we did for the light at 34. We're always there, no matter what we're asked to do, where to meet, what they need from, Nicole, or what they need from Himanshu, whatever it may be. They say jump, we say how high.
Yeah,
We are so, anxious to make this work that honestly, we're at wit's end here. We have done anything and everything they have asked us to do. And yet we turn around again and again. Well, it's design. It's in the pipeline. It's frustrating. We are ready to do whatever. How long, Debbie, for that light on 34? Whatever they wanted. You need it? Okay, we'll put money aside. Okay, we want to go to a meeting in Trenton. We'll be there.
Okay.
And here we are, we sit here again, and like everyone has said, they need to step up
Right.
and finally make the commitment and do it.
So really push our representatives.
And
yeah.
the people along, like you said, this whole corridor.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
We, as a council, ask the other towns to do resolutions to our south. I think we should do that maybe for next meeting.
That's what I was, trying to get at, something we can collectively do as a council to, absolutely.
That's another step we could take. Yeah, that would be good. Mark, could you put something together for us? Okay, all right. Okay. Yep, south and north, naturally. Okay, that sounds like a very positive. So do we had a motion and a second?
Move it.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma. Roll call vote. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Okay, next will be C4, Dr. Greenberg. Belli?
1 second. This resolution is for financial services for the sick and vacation time. And I just want to know, are we properly accounting the time and attendance? Like,
Well, Council President, this resolution came off from the comptroller's report that there are some, the law related to Chapter 2010 and 2007, we were not in fully compliance. Part of that ordinance that we just adopted addresses those, and I have addressed all in our union contract. One of the things, the recommendations and requirement, I guess, was to audit the use of sick and vacation time, assessment. That's what this particular resolution. Now, it's a valid question. Are we accounting? I'm not going to sit here and say absolutely, but we have been working towards that, and I know you raised this issue many years back and several years during the earlier days of audits, and we have been implemented a lot of time and attendance systems now, and accounting of that. The final phase is we're working with the police department now to transfer them as part of our payroll. They need to use the scheduling system, but we're trying to figure out if a payroll company can do it, or we'll need the dual system to address it. So that's our final step. But right now, all of our time, accumulated time, benefit time, accounting are now migrated to the Human Resource Department and centralized control for all departments. And we are looking, and it's every year we look at it and see how we can improve. So my point, my response to you is that yes, we're working towards that, but there's always to get better, and we're going to continue that because we do believe in accountability of our employees' time and use of taxpayer funds. So yes, we're going to continue to work on it. I'm not going to tell you today that we're absolutely there, and I always believe there's always room for improvements.
okay, thank you for that explanation.
Okay, do you make a motion or?
Second.
Okay, Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, next will be report of the township clerk.
So I did just want to mention that early voting starts at our library this Saturday, October 29th. Saturday's hours are from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday's hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And early voting will run up until the day before the election, which would be Monday, November 7th. That's all. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept her report.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Pescetti.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next will be our report of the township attorney.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Okay, and next will be our administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, administrative report for October 25th, 2022. Item number 1, fourth quarter tax payment. The Township Division of Tax Collection will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the fourth quarter tax collection period. The tax office will also be open from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, November 5th, and from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 10th. Payment can be made in person at the tax office at the drop box located near the front doors of the Thomas J. English Administration Building, by mail, online through our website, and by signing up for automatic withdrawal. For homeowners who are enrolled in our automatic withdrawal program, your tax will be withdrawn on or about November 4th. For additional information, residents should contact Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600, extension 2999. Item number 2, property tax reimbursement senior freeze forms. The deadline to file the 2021 PTR form with the state of New Jersey is October 31st. Application must be postmarked by these dates. For additional information, residents should contact the State of New Jersey Division of Taxation at 1-800-882-6597 or the Division of Tax Collection at extension 2999. Item number 3, Cottrell Farm Park, Site Improvement Phase 2. The township received 5 bids on October 14th for the Cottrell Farm Park Site Improvement Phase 2. Precise Construction, Inc. was lowest qualified bidder. The construction work includes a children's farm theme, playground and splash pads areas, rustic farmhouse-style prefabricated restroom building, picnic sitting observation area, stormwater management facility, utilities, and landscaping. Award of this contract was included in tonight's consent agenda the council already approved. Construction is scheduled for spring 2023. Item number 4, 2022 Annual Drainage Improvement Program. The township received 19 bids on October 14th for the 2022 Annual Drainage Improvement Program. Measure Cola Excavating Company, Inc. was the lowest qualified bidder. Construction includes drainage improvements on the following roads: Arthur Street, Craigton Circle, Crescent Road, Fernwood Place, Gordon Road, Hickory Court, Leaf Lane, Ledge Terrace, Morgan Avenue, Pension Road, Schoolhouse Lane, Stevens Avenue, and West Alton Place. Award of this contract was included on tonight's consent agenda. Construction is scheduled for fall 2022. Item number 5, County Route 516 Pedestrian Safety Improvement. Old Bridge Township has received $350,000 from Federal Transportation Alternative Grant to construct nearly 2/3 miles of new sidewalk along the southerly side of County 516 from Higgins Road to Bennett Road to provide safe route for pedestrian from Old Bridge High School to the Town Center District. A community information meeting is being held on Thursday, October 27th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in Conference Room 201 to present an overview of the project, as well as invite participants to submit comments to the project team. Following the meeting, presentation will be made available through the Old Bridge Township website until November 11th with opportunity to provide feedback. Item number 6, fall leaf collection, round 1. Fall leaf collection began on October 24th in Ward 1, 2, and 3. Pickup will begin on October 31st in Ward 4, 5, and 6. Please visit oldbridge.com/recycling for full schedule. Item number 7, paint and bulb day. As a reminder, paint and fluorescent bulb are accepted on the second Saturday of the month at the Township Recycling Center. The next drop-off is Saturday, November 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Please visit oldbridge.com/recycling for a list of accepted items. Item number 8, electric vehicle charging station. The township is happy to announce the installation of electrical vehicle charging station at 3 different locations: the Municipal Complex, the Inverness Park and Ride, and the Westminster Park and Ride. To date, 33 vehicles have charged at our new charging location. The reduction in emission from the power provided is comparable to planting 38 trees and letting them grow for 10 years. So that's definitely good news. It's being used by a lot of people. Item number 9, coat drive. The Old Bridge Food Bank and the Department of Public Works will be hosting its second annual coat drive on Saturday, November 5th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Recycling Center. Join us in helping residents in need to stay warm this winter by donating new or gently used coat, hats, scarves, and gloves. This will be a drive-through drop-off, so all you need to do is drive up and we'll take care of the rest. For more information, please visit oldbridge.com/publicworks or oldbridge.com/foodbank. Item number 10, Parks and Recreation. The John Piccolo Ice Arena is now open for public skating. Please check the website for date and times. The annual Halloween event will take place in municipal parking lot on Saturday, October 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more detail on Parks and Recreation event, please visit oldbridge.com/recreation. Item number 11, best practice. I already presented that to the council. That's conclude my report. Mayor has some very good news to announce.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Council, I'm very pleased. As you know, every year, the Department of Community Affairs and the New Jersey League of Municipalities acknowledge and promote innovation in governance through their annual recognition program. They feel it's an excellent opportunity for municipalities to showcase innovative solutions that they have come up with for problems that have come up over time, whether they needed to come up with quickly, or just over time that they had to be developed by a municipality. This awards program was established to highlight local government activities and services that exhibit creative and practical approaches to local problems. So it's with great pleasure and pride that I announce that Old Bridge will be receiving a prestigious award this year. We will be receiving the award for our Silver Linings virtual community that you're all familiar with. We had a presentation on it. So we're heading down to the League of Municipalities next month, and at the annual Mayor's Luncheon, we will be standing in front of hundreds of other municipalities and getting this prestigious award. I thought it was worth the effort to submit, so I want to thank Anna and Matt for putting the presentation together, sending it to the judging panel, and they've selected Old Bridge to get this award. So I couldn't be more proud of our staff, Anna and her staff, with what they've done for our Silver Linings during COVID, and a duly deserving recognition for coming up with that virtual community during COVID for our seniors. So I just want to let the council know, if anyone's down there and they want to participate, let us know. Thank you.
Congratulations. That's a wonderful, really, that is a wonderful award. Did anyone have a question or comment for Mr. Shah's report?
Yes, I'd like to, no questions, I'd like to move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Murphy.
Second.
Okay, and second by Mrs. Wolf. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay. Next will be discussion ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, conditionally approving financial agreement with Old Bridge RE Urban Renewal, LLC, AC Power.
Council President, Bina had a family emergency, and I believe Mark is leading this one
Okay.
on behalf of Bina.
I thought you were going to do it, Hamachi. You become quite the land use expert these days. So actually, this is a companion to resolution.
You would jump in.
Yeah, resolution. I don't need your help. Resolution C8. If you recall, AC Power LLC previously made various presentations in front of the council regarding the construction of a solar field over at the Global Landfill. That's going to be a small facility to generate some electricity for the grid. It's part of the state's community program, and the council previously adopted a redevelopment plan for that project. They've actually gone through the approval process. They've received approval from the planning board. It was last month. As a continuation of that, and because it's a redevelopment area, one of the things that they had requested was a financial agreement for purposes of making payments in lieu of taxes, a financial arrangement that's allowed for redevelopment areas. Again, this is a landfill that's been cleaned up, so presently the township's not receiving anything from the landfill. This presents an opportunity for the township to obviously bring the property to use, and then start to receive revenue from the property owner in lieu of taxes. The one thing is that we've discussed this before, even with the financial agreement, there's a component that they pay as part of the financial agreement, but there's also a small component that's assessed for taxes. Right now, we receive nothing, so everything that we get is 100% increase on top of that. So the agreement is a conditional approval because there's certain items that they have to complete. They're on a deadline for their financing, so that's one of the reasons why I thought it was okay to proceed with at least introducing the ordinance. Ultimately, if everything's not in place by the time the next meeting comes up, we'll just continue it until they have everything in place. So this is the first step again for approving the financial agreement with Old Bridge RE and Urban Renewal LLC, which is going to be the property owner ultimately for the facility. So with that, we would ask that the council move to introduce the ordinance at this time.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Roselli? Okay. Then I would ask for a motion.
Move it.
Right. Move up for first reading. Yes. Mrs. Walker made the motion, and second by Dr. Greenberg. Okay.
Roll call vote. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses. Public hearing set for November 14th, 2022.
Thank you, council.
And thank you. Okay, next will be our public comment on any subject matter for a maximum period of 3 minutes.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. This section is open for any topic or items on the consent agenda. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the Old Bridge Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. Only one member of the public should approach to speak to council at a time. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker has finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the corresponding department's office during regular business hours. The township clerk will regulate the time during the comment portion of our meeting.
Okay, is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard? Good evening again.
Ron Zastocki, 1021 Marlborough Road. Okay, you just have a couple on the acquisition about trying to get the state to work on Route 9 with that barrier. We have some fantastic people within this county that's really good with auto visuals and things of that. Perhaps maybe a documentary could be put together in terms of the improvements that were made south, the ones north, and leaving us totally blank. Also in there would list all the different accidents that we've had, attributed to that. Throw it out on News 12 and any other type of a press release. And then from there, kind of shame the DOT into getting something done. So I think something along those lines would probably help. I worked with some things in DOT, when they were building the Walmart, because I'm right down the road, and some of the proposals that they had were just crazy. Twin tractor trailers going down Pleasant Valley Road. I mean, you got an 18-foot road, 2 tractor trailers. I used to work on them, 18 foot, you got 2 foot of medium, right? So that goes on. But that's not really what I came for, but I just wanted to throw that out there for you. All right? Nicole, you work in the mayor's office? Or, oh, okay. Whoever your representative is within your office, I spoke with her the other day.
Oh, Lauren.
She was fantastic. She delivered what she said she was going to do. You got back to me the following day. Nice job. All right? So what I want to talk about, and I'm 3 minutes up already? Okay. So I live at 1021 Marlborough Road. I've been a resident almost 40 years now. Right at 40 years at that location. Before the Walmart was there, obviously it was a little golf center and stuff like that. My kid works there and stuff like that. The track right alongside that, between Marlborough Road, going up to East Greystone to Texas, all the way down to 9 and 18, is a 200-acre track, or just under it. I'm sorry, just under 300, right? So the idea is, all of a sudden now there's posters on that property where you can't hunt or you can't trespass. It says it's private property, but it's not. We still own it. Apparently there's maybe some surveyors done, but that property's been surveyed for over 40 years since I've been there, when Olympia York was going to come in and put in, 17,000 housing units or something in that area, right? Now all of a sudden it's posted. You can't do anything over there anymore. You can't go hunting on it, okay? So I've talked to Mr. Casey Leonard with the road department, right? And I also spoke with the lady who, I believe she kind of runs the planning board, maybe. And the most I got was that, well, if there's surveyors on there, they might get shot. And that's pretty much, the reasoning behind it from what I hear, which is crazy because hunting is one of the safest sports that's across the country. I have some stats in here just in soccer. Soccer is the #1 sport that gives women the most concussions than any other sport. Soccer, right? Football, we had a couple football players die here in the state, right? Just a couple months back, I believe it was, playing football.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
That's your time.
Okay, so who do I need to go to try and find out what the hunting regulations are in Old Bridge? Because right now, from what I understand, there isn't any. I can't get a copy of open land. I can't get any copy of the regulations because they're all under technical review. So if you're under review, as a hunter, been hunting for 50 years plus, I'd like to offer my time to give some assistance if they need some guidance in that area.
Okay.
I've done it with Chester Township up in Morris County.
We have to,
up all their parks.
yeah, unfortunately, we have to, yes. Thank you very much. Yes, leave it with the clerk, absolutely. And someone will get back to you.
Right.
Yes. Yep, thank you very much for your time and your suggestions for the DOT. I like that, thank you. Yep. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to come forward and be heard this evening? Okay, seeing no hands, then I will close the public portion and go to council comments.
Council comments. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes, thank you. That's a great idea with the documentary. Thanks for that. It's thinking outside of the box, I think is something that would be great for us to try to do collectively as a council. So it was a great idea. Thank you. Really, I don't have too much to say otherwise tonight. Just again, as our clerk, Ms. Hutchinson, mentioned, elections coming up. So just if you have a mail-in ballot, don't forget to mail it back in. That's about it on that. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Halloween and everyone be safe. Thank you.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yeah, so this past weekend, All American Subaru had a Petapalooza event that I was at. The mayor was at on Saturday as well. A lot of pet adoption folks were there. Our animal shelter was there as well. And in speaking with some of the staff from our animal shelter, I was disheartened and upset, to say the least, of what they were telling me and how folks have been disposing of their pets. Right? So our animal shelter, and the mayor can attest to this, has been inundated with cats, dogs, and alike. Whether it's folks just letting animals out, and there were 3 pit bulls that were let out. One unfortunately was killed. 2 of them were recovered. Folks putting dogs in bags and just leaving them on the side of the road for whatever reason, and understanding that folks during COVID thought it was a great idea to get an animal, and now that everyone is going back to the office, that animal is not ideal for them. Do not, under any circumstance, abandon your animal in the way that they're doing, leaving it on the side of the road, leaving it in a bag. The last time I checked, that is not legal. It's endangering an animal. Okay, so folks that are listening, talk to folks if they are looking to get rid of a pet. There are the right ways to do it. Do not just assume that you're going to let it out and someone else is going to figure it out, because you wouldn't do that to a child. Do not do that to an animal. Okay, if you don't think you should take care of an animal long term, do not get one. Right? It's never the right thing to do. We shouldn't start now, and we shouldn't keep it going in the future, because there's only so much our animal shelters can do before they unfortunately will, not only our animal shelter, but around the country, they will unfortunately need to put some of these animals down. And there were a set of, I think it was 4 or 5 puppies that were from another agency that was up there. These puppies were less than a year old. The woman was saying that if she did not rescue them, those animals would not be here today. They were on a list to be put down. So, and these are little puppies, right? So this is not a COVID puppy, right? This isn't a 2-3-year-old puppy at this point. These are puppies that have just recently been brought in, and people wanted to get rid of them. It's extremely disheartening to see that. I don't have, as much as my children want a dog, it's not the right time for us to have an animal, so I do not, right? It may be the thing to do during COVID, but if you cannot commit to the lifetime of that animal, do not get it, right? Dr. Greenberg would attest to that as a veterinarian, and I'm sure she sees this a heck of a lot more than any of us. It is the fact, when they told me that, I felt like throwing up. Right, and this is coming from the folks in our own township and getting inundated, where I was always under the assumption that we never had dogs in our shelter. It was always cats, right? So it seemed like there was always cats being adopted. Now that there's so many dogs, we're getting those puppies in. It's just something I wanted to bring up, because just hearing that, as a person, listen, I may not own an animal, but I do love animals. It's never the right thing to just abandon something that is giving you unconditional love if you can't take care of it anymore. So please do not do that. If you see someone doing something like that, report them, because it's illegal. The way that they were describing it, and I don't want to describe how some of these animals were found, it is illegal. It's illegal, and it's disgusting. And I'm sorry, that's to bring the meeting down, but I don't want. I thought it was something that was important, that especially since it does touch our town and the great work that gets done in our animal shelter. I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. I won't talk about safety and driving, and as I typically do, I think we beat that to death with during our consent agenda. But please, everyone, be safe on the roads, whether you're in a local road, Route 9, on a highway. Slow down, be careful. And just finally, for all those who celebrate, Happy Diwali. And for all our children throughout town, Happy Halloween. Whether you are doing haunted trails, haunted houses over the weekend, Halloween parties over the weekend, or trick-or-treating on Monday, or trunk-or-treating over the weekend, have a great time and be safe. Thank you.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes, thank you. I'm always yelling in these things. You touched on Halloween next week. I know a couple weeks ago I mentioned about fentanyl with the kids. Halloween's next week, so please, parents, grandparents, check your kids' bags. I mean, there's nothing really going on in Old Bridge, but you never know. Let's keep our kids safe. Also, Cheesequake Village is having a Toys for Tots drive. I know it's early, but Cheesequake Village Clubhouse Toys for Tots. And one more thing, make sure you guys get out and vote next week. The state's counting on you. The country's going crazy. State's going crazy. Please get out and vote. Do your part. Thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes, first of all, Mr. De Palma, thank you for bringing up. It is sad that people be that irresponsible and that inhumane to animals. There are ways, if you don't want a pet, there are different ways to find a home from a pet. There are plenty of rescues. The animal shelter become overwhelmed. That's a feel-good moment for them when they drop it off there. But they don't know the life of what's going to happen for that pet, and it is 365 days a year that you have to take care of that pet when you assume responsibility of it. So you should think long and hard before you get a pet. But it's such a drastic. People are can be so different. I went to Bark for Life in Menino Park, and you saw all the animals there and how much the people loved them, and they had different activities as they were raising money for cancer. So that's the other extreme. There are a lot of decent people that care about their pets. You know, they brought them to the park to participate in different events, raising money for cancer. And so, you know, those are the things that I want to think of. And it's very sad that, you know, you brought up that incident, and that is a real problem. And especially with the cats, the inundation of cats. We passed a TNR thing. You can, if you're feeding a cat, you should have it spayed. There are low-cost spay and neutering. It will save hundreds of cats from being born. And so you can review that ordinance. Also, I encourage everyone, it is the way of life. As much as we may not like it because of the accountability with it, the early vote and the cost, the early voting, the vote by mail. But if you're not going to be here on Election Day, please, your vote does matter. But that is the strange thing in these times when you think of the cost of everything right now. I think it's mind-boggling when I'm watching television and there's an advertisement on a vote-by-mail ballot. Vote your mail ballot in Middlesex County. We really have that much money to do that? Is that what we're spending our tax dollars on? It's absurd. It is absurd at every level. Then I've asked time and time again, fine, vote by mails. We all know vote by mail used to be for the military, students away at college, or the sick. Now there's random, just mail out vote by mails. There is no accountability. I don't care what they tell me, how all this process. So I've asked time and time again, please, vote by mail is fine. If you want to vote by mail, you send in and request it every election. Then they have the people that are requesting it and the ballot, whether it's returned or not. But there shouldn't be more ballots going out. You don't know the amount. But the most absurd thing is with these vote by mails, now they have money. Guess what? They send everyone an application for a vote by mail. So think of the cost of that. Then this is even more incredible. You know, in Old Bridge, we have 2 congressional districts, 6th and 12th. We know this year there was redistricting, which they did. They have the maps. We have the maps. They have the maps. That the county clerk's office, I'm not saying Board of Election, county clerk's office, has sent out wrong ballots. So they sent out wrong ballots with the wrong congressional districts without the right people on. Now they've had to send another ballot. That's a lot of money. Also, I would have to say this early voting. I know in the primary, we had early voting. You know how many people voted in Old Bridge? 99 people. You know how much that cost? It's astronomical. So I'm going to give you an estimate, just an estimate, for the days of this early voting. There, if you take an estimate of the poll workers that are there. And it's a long day, and they make $300. That's fine. In Old Bridge, you'll have 12 poll workers, maybe more. In the whole county, you'll have over 250. I don't know the exact number, but if you just have it at 250. At $300 a day for 9 days, that's a lot of money, $750,000. That does not include the technicians that set up the machines. That does not include people that come every day to lock up these machines, close them up, get the data from them. It is astronomical. It is absurd that we are wasting money on this. We all heard here, I mean, every resident, I'm sure, would like to spend that money on something else, but there is no reason for this. So regardless, when I question it, they say, oh, this is the rules, these are the laws. Okay, these are the rules and laws that I have to play by and everyone else. But there is still, you can question it. You could really look at, stand back and review it and say, is this the right thing to be doing with these funds? Is this the right thing to be doing in this time and place with the economy that everyone is feeling nationwide? So I urge you, please go out and vote. Your vote does matter. It is important for the people that get in office that can really adhere to some of these things. And I'll leave it with this. Why do we have a drop box? We have mailboxes all over. We have a central location. That drop box costs money too, where every day there is sent 2 people from the Board of Elections to retrieve those ballots. There is no reason for it. I ask, and the question, why? There's not an answer. But I am saying, these are the rules we have to live by, but please go out and vote. There is consequences to your vote. Thank you very much. And happy Halloween, and be safe.
Councilman Murphy.
Thank you. I agree with what Eric said. My fiance has decided to be the queen of cats. I mean, we have 7 feral cats. She feeds them every day. She gives them water. I have no money left. But I agree with him. You can't just let the cats out. You can't do that. It's like letting a baby out. And that's all I have to say. And happy Halloween, everybody. Oh, Mary, you ran a good meeting tonight. Thank you.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
No comment, thank you.
Councilperson Walker.
Just want to wish everyone a happy Halloween.
And Council President Sohar.
Yes, I agree. Happy Halloween to everyone. Have a great and safe day. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia. Yes. Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli. Yes. Councilperson Murphy. Yes. Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
9:15.